essentially what this makes use of is anywhere where you have either a sort of loop that you have on top, or stem where you have the top of the I or the J can be converted to a hook. Any ascend or a descender can be converted to a hook, and anywhere you have one of these little comma dots, that could also happen. So let me show you what I mean by a fish hook. The three forms you're currently looking at now are not fish hook letters. They are basically the normal forms of I, S, and J. And so we're going to tackle the I first, okay? And so looking at this letter, what we're going to see here is I'm going to go ahead and make a fish hook I next to it. I may not have left myself enough room to do this when I made these, but we'll try. So here comes the compound curve here. Once my pen starts to write, I'll touch it to my wet sponge, like this. Curve it out. It's a compound curve. I'll do my top portion here. I'm going to leave the rest of it for a minute. I'll do my top portion like this. This is essentially the same as the other letter, okay? But now for the top, rather than just wisping it out here, and sometimes these actually have a little bit of weight to them like I have on the J, all right, I'm going to come around with the fish hook like this, or what I call a fish hook, and just gently curve it. Just a suggestion there, not too much. And then I invert my paper to make the last stroke, and so where I had the comma down, I'm also going to put a tiny fish hook that's sort of the opposite but equal of the one on top, like this. And so here you have the combination of regular I, and this is the one I would use with needle stitch grip I call the fish hook. Okay? This is the traditional capital S. I'll show you how I'm going to make my fish hook capital S. Sometimes I get a little more dramatic with this, in that I will sometimes come a little above the header line with this, if I've got room, alright? And so here is my compound curve, like this. Alright. The top fish hook looks like this. Alright. And the bottom I invert again to make it the same exact way. And so that would be my fish hook S, and it may be a little disturbing to some to look at it that way, but I do like that, and it does have its application occasionally when you want to throw it in. And now we're going to take a look at a modification of this capital J, and I think what I might do, well, I guess I do have some room to make it next to it. So we'll go ahead then and make my capital J, and we'll come down with our long shaded stroke, okay? My line has gotten a little thin as far as the ink goes on this J, and so what I want to show you is how I'd add to that. It's still wet. I dip my pen into the ink, load it with ink, come back to the mid portion of shade and just press and touch, and that flows ink into that area. That's how I get the heavier, I like a lot of Neil's ink on the paper. It gives a really rich red-violet color. Alright, so now we'll come to the top just like we did with the eye. We'll make our section up here like this. Come down and through. And then simply up and over around the top like that, just like I did with the eye for a fish hook there. You could put one in this curvature here, but it may be a little excessive. And then where I'd have the stem loop, I would now invert my paper. Okay, so here's a stem loop. But on this one, I would make a sort of fish hook that's suggestive of a stem loop, like this. And there you have the capital J in both traditional form as well as in the fish hook variant. You have the S in the traditional form and the fish hook variant. And then you have the capital I in traditional and fish hook variant. Thank you very much for your time.